So we may have to do it small. We apologize. There was some technical issues last time as well. But we just want to talk to you a little bit about what a Bitmoji classroom is. So I'm going to hand it over to Carrasquillo and Eunice just to talk about a Bitmoji classroom. And we do have some different examples, and myself and Lori will add on.
Hi. Carrasquillo, I don't know if she's on yet.
No, I am. I'm here.
Okay. See you. I should make my screen bigger. So Bitmoji Classroom is really just making the classroom interactive. So it's a Google slide, like the crash course we just had, but this is what a final piece would look like. So when I was showing you how to insert links, this is what inserting links would look like. So each picture is a link, and a link is attached to a website, to a resource, to a video. So where we said insert video, insert picture, when you insert the picture, you can make the picture a link. When you insert the words become a link, and that opens up into a different place. So instead of having 5 different slides, you have everything on one slide, and students would click on the slide to open up to the assignment or to a resource that you have for them. So it's like your classroom on a slide. Kristen, I don't know if
just to back up a tiny bit in case anybody is confused around just the word Bitmoji. The Bitmoji part of it is just referring to that kind of like characterized picture of yourself. Some people have it on their, on their phones when you're texting. But you can certainly do a Bitmoji classroom without the image of yourself in it if you want. And like Eunice was saying, all it's really doing is taking a Google slide, putting images in to make it look like an actual classroom. But on top of just looking like a classroom, you're linking videos and pictures and other things to the actual images on the Google slide. So if you have a whiteboard on there and you're putting, it's Monday, click here for today's read aloud, right? The kids are clicking on the whiteboard and then it's taking them to a video of the read aloud or whatever it may be. It's really just a kind of a fun way to post, what you want the students to be doing for the day rather than just listing it out on Google Classroom. Heather asked, is Bitmoji Classroom another add-on? We are going to get to that in a minute. No, because you're creating this all yourself just from a blank Google slide. The only thing that is an add-on that you can use as a Chrome extension is the Bitmoji itself, like the actual image of the Bitmoji, which is the person, but all the other stuff comes just from the internet and Google image searching and linking and all stuff like that. Okay.
And we just wanted to give you an example of a Bitmoji classroom that has already been created. So this is just a Foundations classroom. It was created for Miss Johnson. So we're just gonna click and show you. So you can see that we did link the picture here. I know that Eunice had gone over that in the Google Slides PD. So I'm gonna take you to her Bitmoji classroom. And you can see that for each poster, there's a link. Right here, it does give directions to the students. Click a poster to review the sound. So if you select one of the posters, it will pop up with a link. And we can go to listen to the YouTube of the Foundations cards, because it's part of the charts.
Apple,
So that would be one part. And then, different things are linked with different posters. So here's the sound. And then here, you could link letter formation and things like that. But each feature within the classroom has a different link, and will send the students to go to a different place to review a certain skill. Okay, great. Just checking the chat.
So I have a quick question.
can I ask a question, or do I have to put it
Yes.
in the chat?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine.
All right. So when they click on these links, they're going out of that slide. They have to be able to come back into the slide.
Right.
So like if they're on an iPad, they have to know how to do that. Go between windows, basically.
Right.
Okay.
So if you are, that's a good point, Mary. So if you are using it for something, let's say like a foundations lesson, right? And we all know a foundations lesson has a lot of components, drill sounds, dictation, vowel, like everything. It could get tricky, right? Because for something that has so many components, they are going to have to make their way back to that Google slide each time. But if you're doing it more of like my classroom, you know, like ones we showed you kind of in the beginning, where it's basically like kind of for the whole day, right? Like click here for today's read aloud. And then later on, they're going to click here for the math. It's a little bit easier, but I don't know, Brosia, Eunice, you might know better, but there's no way around it. We've kind of haven't been able to.
It should just automatically populate.
What if you created, so is this Google Slide?
Yeah.
All right, so what if like you create, like we just did in Eunice's and Ms. Lori's class, like what if you have different slides? Can you then link it to that slide?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think the only thing with that is like it would almost defeat the purpose of it being like one classroom as a tool.
Okay.
So I think that like here, this would be specific to, let's say a child needs vowel sounds. I don't think I would have them do everything that's in the classroom. We're more thinking about setting up the Bitmoji classrooms as a resource, and the student independently goes in and selects something specific that they would need. So I don't know if anyone wants to add on to that.
As a resource, and I have in Spanish, like to click here for this activity, click there for that activity, the same way it's here in English, and it's under materials. So when the kids are done, I can assign it also as an assignment, but they use it freely. It's not something that I'm checking to see if they use it. You can do that to make sure that they use it, you know, to mark as done. But I have it as a material, just as something extra that they can use to review sounds that they don't know or things like that.
And I think too, it can be utilized in different ways. So if we kind of just go back here, I know it is small or non-existent now, but I'm gonna just scroll down in the presentation, which we will get to later, or not. Are you able to see those pictures that are there?
No, maybe present your screen to see if it comes up.
No, it wasn't coming up before. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's very small in the corner over there, but it's an example of a gym classroom, and how the teacher utilized that Bitmoji classroom was everything in the classroom linked to an exercise video. And the expectation was that at the end of the week, the students completed a Google form around which exercise video they did each day. So it was more to display the different types of exercises that students could do. And then the expectation at the end of the week was a Google form. So I think you can utilize it in different ways that make sense or work best for you. All right, so do we kind of have any other questions about just like what is a Bitmoji classroom? Any different like examples or anything we want to share out before we move on to creating the Bitmoji classroom?
It's an add-on as well.
So the Bitmoji classroom is created using Google Slides. The Bitmoji, you can download a few different ways, which we are going to talk about next.
Okay.
So we'll move on then to part 2, where we're going to talk about how to get your Bitmoji, how to create this classroom, the sizing, the images, and then there are some different options if you prefer to use a pre-made template, and then kind of going over what Eunice presented in the Google Slides with linking, and then our suggestion for how it should be assigned to students. So there are a few different ways to get your Bitmoji. So as Kristen was explaining, there is a Chrome extension that you can download using like your personal email. You can also use your Snapchat. So Kristen can kind of explain how she was able to do that. And I'm going to present to you while Kristen does that, what the extension looks like on Chrome.
Right. So my DOE laptop, I don't have that connected to my text messages because I just don't want to do that. I know some people do. So that's the easiest way, right? If you have your messages synced with your laptop, if you're using an iMac or a MacBook, then you can just AirDrop, or you can just send text messages. I never did that, so I was trying to play around with how I could. So Bitmoji itself is also a Chrome extension, but the problem is you can't download it onto your computer itself because it's still an app that needs to be created using an iPhone or an Android. But I have Bitmoji on my phone, so I was thinking like, well, where did I originally create it? And most people, I think, probably originally created your Bitmoji account through Snapchat. Again, it sounds weird, like Snapchat and my DOE, like what? But you're just using the credentials. So once you get because I was trying to do it with my DOE email, it wouldn't let me. So if you created your Bitmoji through Snapchat originally, you can just log in with your Snapchat login and password, and then Bitmoji comes up right on the little bar in the top. It's actually right there on Ambrosia's screen, that little green. Yep, there it is. Okay. And once you've done that and linked it, when you click on that, the drop down is all your Bitmojis. I know a lot of people are saying you can just AirDrop.
Yes, so that's another option. We just wanted to give everyone the different options. So there is the Chrome extension. We did have on the agenda like AirDrop's another way to do it, or email. So it just depends what you are most comfortable with.
Right.
You can download the app on your phone, the Bitmoji app on your phone, and then you can AirDrop to your computer, or you can email it. It sounds really silly, but I use my personal Mac. So I just send random text messages to my husband because my messaging is hooked up to my computer, and I just put random Bitmojis, and he's like, oh, I know what you're doing. And I drag the Bitmojis out of the chat and utilize it, however I want. When you are thinking about designing your Bitmoji classroom, you want to search pose.
I don't remember how I did it.
So you do want to search pose, because that will give you the ones kind of without like air hug or hello or hi. If you search pose, it'll give you kind of all the ones that are just the person standing with no extra stuff. So just kind of in the chat, like, is everyone familiar with Bitmoji, or has a Bitmoji, or knows how to create a Bitmoji?
I have.
Any questions just about the actual Bitmoji part?
Just one more time, like, so it's pretty clear. Bitmoji is only talking about that little icon that looks like you, right? So you can create a little character that looks like you. And then when you're texting, if you have it on your phone, you use it to send different things. Regardless of the character, the classroom itself that's interactive is separate from a Bitmoji. Whoever created or thought of the idea of Bitmoji Classroom just wanted to combine the two. So if you are struggling right now, like how to get the actual Bitmoji itself, like, we can definitely work with you separately, even if you're not sure how to do it on your phone. But if you don't have the Bitmoji, you can still very easily follow along for the rest of the presentation to just see like how you actually start making the Google slide that looks like a classroom.
Yeah, I think we'll separate it just in terms of, we'll say like virtual classroom with a Bitmoji. All right, so I'm gonna stop sharing this screen. The reason I wanted to share this screen was so you could see the Bitmoji icon downloaded as the Chrome extension. So in here, what I was saying was you do wanna search pose. Oops. So that you'll see all of these icons kind of come up. Most of them don't have words or anything like that. And that's easier to place into the virtual classroom. I'm just going to refresh this page. We'll see if it works. It always seems at around 2 o'clock, here we go, now it's working, that things do not work. All right, so I'm gonna go back to sharing my screen. All right, so as we said, when you're thinking about creating this, oops, sorry, does someone have a question? Nope, okay. When you're thinking about creating this virtual classroom, you're gonna start with just a basic Google slide. And we did go over this in both the Google slide and the Pear Deck, but you can alter the sizing if you would like. So for just the more advanced, I know there's different sizing for headers and things like that. For this presentation, we're just gonna leave the sizing the same, but you can alter it if you would like to make your virtual classroom a little larger, a little taller, whatever you'd like it to look like. So to do that, you would go to File, Page Setup, and here this is the current size of the screen. So if you'd like to customize the size of the screen, you would just click down and click Custom. And you can make it the size of a paper, the size of landscape, whatever size you would like your virtual classroom to look like. All right, and then kind of what I like to do is just delete everything. So I have a blank canvas, and this is really going to be how you're going to present your virtual classroom. So your next step would then to do an image search. So there's a couple different things that you can do with an image search. So if you go to Google, you can insert or do an image search on the Google slide. I prefer to do it this way because you have some control over the tools. So if I'm searching, let's say, classroom background, this is what is going to pop up, and you can insert that image right into your classroom and boom, you're done, right? So if I take this image and I just drag it and I insert it, now this is the image that I created with the phonics classroom. And you can adjust it, you know, to meet your needs. This one's a little blurry, so it's not perfect. Right, and now you have the background of your classroom if you want something basic, easy, simple. Okay, if you would like something really custom to you and your style and, you know, your look, you may want to search something more specific, and then I suggest using the tools. Oh, sorry. Or not. And let's say you're starting just with like a couch. So you can search couch in images. And then you're gonna wanna click tools, and you can use, like, for color, transparent, so that the background is transparent and it's easy to insert into your Google slide. You can also try searching up here, couch, transparent, PNG. Those are good things to search with. And it will come up for you and you can insert it into your slide. Another option that you have is, like I said earlier, insert image here, search the web, and you can search here couch. If you'd like to put in a couch. Okay, and most of the time they will come up transparent for you. And let's say you want to put in this couch.
You can also, like how Broge did in the beginning, and she searched classroom backgrounds. If you include the term now, Bitmoji classroom backgrounds, since it's such a big thing, all of a sudden, people's blank backgrounds that they've already made will show up in images. So like right there, boom. Somebody put a plant, the whiteboard, a chair. You could screenshot that and have that as your background. An already made one without the actual Bitmojis in it.
And just to kind of add on to what Kristen is saying, so now let's say you just decided that your background is just going to be a basic classroom background. That's what works for you. And now you want to put in a whiteboard. So you can search whiteboard.
It's like decorating a room.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So basically, you're just searching things that you want to add.
Right.
So let's say, we're just going to say for, example's sake, that there's no transparent background and that something that you really want has a background, right? So let's take this guy here. So I'm going to just drag it to my desktop, and there's a really great site that will remove the backgrounds for you. So I'm going to put that into the chat. If I can find said chat, sorry. So here's this site. We're good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So here's this site, and then you would just upload the image that you would like. And you see that now it's removed the background. So if you do find something that you really like or you really want, and it has a background, you do have the option to remove it. So now you can download it, and the background will be removed. Let's see, and here it is. So now I can insert this into my classroom and I can adjust it to meet the needs of my classroom. Now let's say that you have a puppy and Miss Carrasquillo's puppy is going to make an appearance, and you would like your puppy to be in the classroom, but it has a background. Same here. So you can take the image, you can upload it, and now Sasha gets to be in your classroom. So anyone who wants Sasha, we have Sasha available with no background. And then you just stick it into the classroom. So here she is. Sasha is in the classroom.
Those of you who were yesterday in the Google Classroom, that if you saw my stream that I was moving back and forth, the little header, when you change the theme, I did it this way through creating it like, it just didn't have links. I don't know if anyone remembered, but.
So just, I know that's kind of a lot of information. Is there just any questions around kind of creating the backgrounds for the virtual classroom? We are going to go into linking information and everything like that, but we just wanted to give you a couple options on how to create it. We are going to be sending out links to websites that have the classrooms already created, the backgrounds already created, but we did want to share with you how you can create your own so you can customize it.
I do have a question. Once you're done adding all of your images, not the links, like your whiteboard, your picture frame, the dog, the cat, the couch, do you then take a snapshot of that and make that a background so that it doesn't move when you're linking?
Could do that.
Okay.
So-
should we do that or does it matter?
I would say don't do that because then it's going to be difficult to link the objects.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you want like each object to be linked.
Right. But Janice, you could do that before you start to get really before you start to put your specific academic materials in. You know what I mean? Because like Brosh is saying, once you put like a foundations
So
poster
just like
with the math manipulate, but like the classroom itself, like the furniture, a plant if you want, a couch, a table, like that stuff you're not gonna add links to.
Right.
So that you definitely can do. Take
Right.
a screenshot of that and then set as background.
Okay. Okay.
Right, and then you would want to set this as view only, which we'll get into.
Right. I think that's what Putterman meant. Putterman meant that he doesn't think the kids can edit it, but if it's view only, then right, they can't.
Yeah, and we can use it too as the beginning of our classroom or our presentation, and then we can do the rest as we want with more clean backgrounds, so that our information is clearer for the kids. But this looks great to the beginning of our presentation.
Yeah. If you also take a snapshot of the image you originally created and then put it in another slide, they can't move anything around. You just add in the links.
Yeah.
Okay, so everyone is at least feels comfortable with doing the Google slide, putting in some sort of image. So depending upon your comfort level, you can just search classroom backgrounds or Bitmoji classroom background, or create your own using the remove or using, searching for transparent and PNG, or the tool using the Google image tool search.
Yeah. How do you get the Bitmoji though in our computers? And I missed that information.
So how would you insert your Bitmoji? So just like we inserted any image, you can drag it in, or you can insert it from the Google slide.
But how do I get it in my computer if I don't have link my messages with my iPhone with the computer?
So, do you have a Bitmoji already? Oh yeah, you do, Bruna, right? You send them to me sometimes.
Yeah.
So you have it already. So depending on how you signed up for it, if you did it through Snapchat or if you just did it through like your email, there is, if you go into the Google Chrome extensions, there is Bitmoji Google Chrome extension. You're just gonna have to log into it through whatever you originally created it with.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So I realized that my Bitmoji originally, I made it through Snapchat. So I had to put in my Snapchat username and password, and then it came up for me.
All right. So only that comes out for you. That's good.
Yeah. Don't worry. It just uses the login information. It's not like your whole Snapchat history comes up. I know. I was like, do I really want to do this? I don't know, but it was fine.
Yeah, it looks really nice, and it will be nice and warm, you know.
Yeah, so I airdrop my Bitmoji to my computer or do it via text messages, and then I would just drop it right into the Google slide. So I do have one here, and we can just drag it into our presentation. And so here I am. This is just like an example. Obviously, you would want to do the one with the pose, but here's my Bitmoji. So I just had it on my computer. I suggest those that love the Bitmojis as much as I do, I made a little folder on my computer with the ones that I like to use.
Yep.
So I just like airdrop the ones I like, and I share that on, you know, Dojo or on the Google Classroom or things like that. And that way I don't have to keep looking for them or keep uploading them. All right, so we do want to move on to kinds of linking the items in your classroom. So let's just say that you have a YouTube video that goes with the read aloud you want students to do. And again, this is very dependent on how you want to utilize the classroom. And we will be talking about that in just a few minutes, both giving you examples and then going into our breakout room. But just what you link in your classroom, in your virtual classroom, just depends upon how you want to utilize it. So if we were to say that this was an ELA classroom and the focus was on read alouds, I would suggest that you upload, you know, your read aloud of a book or whatever you would like to do. If that's not an option, then of course you could use a pre-made YouTube video. So for this example, we are going to use just a pre-made YouTube video. And we're just going to search read alouds, right? Because we're all adults and it's okay. So we'll do read alouds. And you're just going to take the link from the YouTube video that you would like to put in. Let's say The Very Hungry Caterpillar, because we all love that book. So here's a link up in The Very Hungry Caterpillar, the browser bar, so you can copy that. Again, on the Mac, it's Command-C. And we can insert the link here. So can everyone see this link image here?
Mm-hmm.
So because let me just go back for a second. I have my whiteboard selected. You can go to insert link, and I'm just gonna paste the link. So Command V, apply, and now the link is linked to that whiteboard. Are there any questions just about how to link different objects in the classroom?
The picture of the book itself won't come up there, just the link?
No, so what you could do is you could put a picture of the book and do the same thing.
Gotcha.
So some of the things that we have seen with the virtual classrooms is teachers inserted bookshelves, put different cover pictures of covers of books, and then link themselves reading those different books.
Okay.
But we just wanted to show you how to link the objects within the virtual classroom.
Okay, yep.
So I see here with the multiple links, as far as I know, no, but I'm certainly not an expert, but I think that's why teachers created the bookshelves with the different books so they could link each book. So you could have a bookshelf and then you could have the pictures of the cover of books and link it to that.
I think you have a sample in one of the classrooms, Roche, if you want to show it.
Say that again?
I think you have a sample of what it looks like in one of the classrooms of your samples on the PowerPoint that we made earlier.
On the examples.
Does it come up of a library?
The ones I think we were gonna show the one that
Oh no, not that one.
Wilhelm made.
Yeah, I don't think that we have a library.
Oh, the one
Um,
Wilhelm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Miss Wilhelm, are you here?
This one?
Yes, I'm here.
Well, yeah. That's right. We use Miss Wilhelm's Writing Center. But Miss Wilhelm had also created a kindergarten library where each teacher had their library. So like Miss Broja was saying, different images of read alouds were on a bookshelf. And if you dragged your mouse on top of each book, a video would come up of a read aloud for that book. You can also do it by genre. So you could do like a Pete the Cat library and have all Pete the Cat books on the bookshelf. There's a lot of ways to play with it.
Okay, so the last thing really we just want to cover in this part 2, and then we'll take a look at part 3, which is like ways you could utilize it as a resource. So kind of going into the library and things like that, is just assigning it. So our suggestion to everyone is assigning it as a material and not an assignment, because you do want it to be a resource that they can kind of refer back to. So possibly in your Google Classroom, having a topic that says virtual classroom or Bitmoji classroom, whatever you'd like to call it, and then saying like math classroom, ELA or writing classroom, reading classroom, or reading room. So this way it's not an assignment to the students, it's a material or a resource that they would use. So kind of making the comparison to in the classroom when students were utilizing the word wall or utilizing math manipulatives, they would get up independently and they would go throughout the room and find the tools that they needed to be independent learners. So this is the same idea, but in a virtual setting.
I just put a screenshot of Miss Wilhelm's library.
Oh, nice. Okay.
All right, so for part 2, are there any questions that we can answer before we move on to part 3?
I have a question about audio. How long can you record for? It has a limit, or you can record per slide, per page, book page, or how it will work best? If you're reading a book, for example.
Well, you'd probably have to create your video and then upload it to YouTube. And then you would just link it to the YouTube video. You're not actually recording in the Bitmoji classroom, if that's what you mean.
All right, so it has to be created on YouTube.
You have to create the video first, yeah.
Ms. Broj, can you possibly create a space in your Google Classroom where people might be able to put the Bitmoji classrooms they've already created? So that, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes, so we'll definitely have this under so we created the PD section for 5 practices. So we'll have virtual / Bitmoji classroom section, and you will be able to upload it. So we have done a few.
Right.
Something that we were kind of this is just a discussion. This is certainly not saying, do this but that possibly for next year, depending upon what the situation may be, is that grades may want to work together to create a 3rd grade math room, and then each teacher could take that template and differentiate it to meet their specific needs, but maybe kind of creating like the backgrounds together or things like that. That was something we were just talking about, not necessarily something that's happening.
Okay. Thank you. And where did you say it was the folder was going to be?
So we'll put it in the coffee breaks classroom.
The coffee break. Perfect. Thanks.
Ms. Hawkins asked, can we combine this with Pear Deck? The only way I'm thinking we possibly could would be if you do an asynchronous Pear Deck lesson, and then you copy and put the link into your Bitmoji classroom.
Right. So I would add on to that, just saying like if you utilize the whiteboard, which we'll go to an example classroom that looks like that. So if you were utilizing the whiteboard as like today's lesson and updating that link every day, and you utilize Pear Deck asynchronously for your daily lessons, you could do that.
Right. So, but then again, just remember, then you would use your, you know, the Bitmoji classroom that you created, but the links you would have to then change and post as a new material each day.
Right.
Or I have seen Bitmoji classrooms where on the whiteboard the teachers put like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But you know your students, if that might be too much for them, and you just want to be like, "Hi, friends, today is Wednesday on the whiteboard. Here's your reading assignment, and here's your math assignment for Pear Deck." Then you could do that. I think that's a good idea, actually.
So you can combine both. You can create by Bitmoji classroom for few slides, and then you do your regular slides with the help of Pear Deck.
Right.
Okay.
For Bitmoji Classroom, you wouldn't necessarily have to like create multiple slides per se, unless you're doing a different type of Bitmoji Classroom, right? So if you want a separate math tools Bitmoji Classroom and a writing tools Bitmoji Classroom, versus if you just want to have an overall classroom where you're posting the links for the day. But yeah, you would make your Pear Deck slides the actual lesson itself.
Yeah.
Where the Bitmoji classroom is more just like links to resources, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Would it also make sense that before we even roll this out to the students that we practice with them? Because I'm looking at consistency for my students. And if they know that this is the classroom and this is how it is set up, then they know I need to go to this place first, this place second, and then this place is last.
That's a really good point, right? And that's just even thinking about how we were out, you know, rolling out the first 30 days very, very differently this year versus any other year. That would be something really important to do. Just like we had, like with Pear Deck, you're going to have to do it too. A couple times, you're going to have to be with the kids sharing your screen or using Screencastify or some of the other ways to have your screen but you talking at the same time, because you're absolutely going to have to show them a few times first how to use it. They're not going to know to click on this, to click on that. Just like we do, you know, like getting to know the classroom when we're in person. This is the writing center. This is your math center. This is how you get out to sharpen the pencil. We're going to have to do these things with the virtual platforms. So introducing them over, you know, a shared screen and you giving a tutorial is a definite
many times over.
Good idea. Yeah, a few times, right, in the beginning of the year until they get it.
Yeah.
Right.
I found out that the slides, I know they don't look precious, but the simpler they are, I got more response from my kids. Obviously, I try to make it pretty, but simple. So no many colors or things like that. It seems like that helps kids to know how to navigate easier. At least for me, that worked.
The same for me. As I tried to introduce new things, it was like starting all over again.
Yeah.
Right. So I think the idea of, you know, kind of us doing this PD now is really thinking forward to September. Like Kristen was talking about, what tools we would want to familiarize the students with in the beginning of the year in September. And we're suggesting that this could be a resource to build students' independence, just like we work to build their independence within the classroom. You know, Kristen's example was the students get to know the classroom. So how can we set that up for the students virtually, right? Like I always think about Miss Chi's Harry Potter classroom. Like that's kind of what's coming to mind. So like that's part of Miss Chi. And, you know, I think maybe her virtual classroom might look like that. And then she kind of introduces herself and her creativity through the design of her virtual classroom, and then the resources that she would want students to use. Maybe they're just introduced, you know, one time a week. Just because you create this classroom doesn't mean you have to link all of the resources at one time, right? So maybe it's the first week of school and you're working on something that requires a word wall or something that requires a math fluency activity that you want students to be able to access in the future. Then you might link it to that specific item within your classroom. And maybe just like we kind of build our classroom within the school, you would do the same with your virtual classroom. Kristen, how come every time I talk, everyone's silent and you talk and they have all these great things to say?
No,
Not jealous at all.
no.
All right. So it's almost 3 o'clock, which means my son is acting crazy and so is my internet. So we,
Miss Rose,
yes.
can I ask you a quick question? How did you get your Bitmoji on the top banner of your Google Classroom? Did you
So
have to take a screenshot?
no, I made like a header. That's a little bit more complicated.
I know. I tried for a while and I was like, I cannot do this. I don't know.
You have to like animate it. It's a little more.
Animate the header?
Yeah. You create it with the size of the header, and then I can show you at another time.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a little bit more complicated.
Okay, thanks.
On the
No
chat
problem.
and see yours, bro.
What?
I put some samples on the chat.
Okay.
See yours, so like the different samples of what it means to make it yours, and how to use it for different resources, for read alouds, for signs, so teachers can see. You can't really see yours.
All right. So we just want to move on to kind of ways to utilize the virtual classroom with your Bitmojis. And then we're going to break out into breakout rooms to kind of discuss what it might look like in different areas of instruction. So some examples we have here. So this was just an example that we were talking earlier when Ms. Hawkins brought up utilizing Pear Deck. So here, if you wanted to kind of link your daily activities and you just created like a background of this is your classroom and these are your daily activities, and this is how students went to your assignments as opposed to posting them on the Google Classroom, this is something that you may want to utilize. So like here you see like they have the learning target and then kind of a little checklist of everything that they have to do. Another example that we spoke about earlier was this is a virtual PE classroom. And so every tool within the classroom has a link to an exercise video. And the PE teacher here kind of gives the directions of what they're supposed to do. So this is more for the week. So she's utilizing her classroom, not so much as a resource, but for instruction. So we did want to give you some different examples. And then,
Bro, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I don't see anything. Am I the only one? Are you sharing?
yeah.
I can see.
Her screen is shared. That might be what happened to Bruna before. She had to leave and come back in because she couldn't see the screen share.
Yeah, I can see it.
Sorry, Janice. You got to go and come back.
Sorry. I mean, on a positive note, we did press record when we started, so at least there's that. So then this is Miss Wilhelm's classroom. So she's on the call, I think. So Miss Wilhelm, I don't want to explain your classroom. I would like you to, if that's possible. Unless...
Yes, no problem.
Oh, okay, good.
Awesome.
This was
So you think you can make it, bros, you think you could present that one slide so we could see it a little bit bigger?
I'm going to try, but last time it didn't.
Did it? That's right. Okay.
Yeah, let me try because I refreshed it. So let's see.
All right, let's see if it'll go.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, nice. Great. Okay.
So this was my idea for using like a writing toolbox. It would be posted as, in my head, like as a material for the students to use. And when they click the links, it opens up into a separate PDF. So that's a smaller version of the word wall. And when they click on it, it's the whole word wall with all of the words that we've gone over, or the alphabet chart. If they need ideas for writing, I did borrow some of Miss Corolla's posters that she had made for the students. With just like the topic and different words that they might need for that topic. And then also paper choice, because I think some of the families in my class were struggling with what does the paper even look like that they should be using. And so if they click on the paper, it opens up to a PDF that they can either screenshot, save, or write on. But this way, it's just all the tools that they might need at home that we provide in the classroom for them, but can't provide for them remotely.
And just to kind of clarify also, So you don't have to link it to a YouTube video. It can be linked to any type of resource that you have on your drive. So Miss Wilhelm didn't link it to YouTube videos. She linked it to a PDF document that was present on her drive. So the paper, the word wall, posters, things like that. So it doesn't have to be a YouTube document, YouTube link. It could be anything. And then we have an example of a music room. So this is just another way that they could use it. And then here they would click into this and they would see their different assignments. So this is similar to what Ms. Carrasquillo was sharing earlier, where it was like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. This was more like K-5 and then different instruments that they could use. And then some YouTube music that the teacher was listening to, similar to how we had in the classroom, like what is the teacher reading? So just before we kind of go into breakout rooms, are there any just questions about ways that the virtual classroom could be utilized? No, everybody's good? Okay. So we are gonna split up into breakout rooms. So we're gonna do an ELA room with Lori, an ENL room with Miss Kelly, a math room with myself, and then a SPED room with Kristen. So we are gonna do this manually, so we do need a little bit of patience.
Yeah,
and the question to think about is how could implementing a Bitmoji classroom support the needs of your learners and work to build student independence in the classroom? So I'm gonna stop sharing for now and I'm gonna start putting you guys into breakout rooms.